Ed Mooney. You old devil.
Yeah, who's asking?
Don't you recognize me?
Oh. Yeah, you're...
Fergal, it's Fergal.
Fergal, that was it. Fergal,
Yeah, I'll save you the embarrassment.
There ain't no embarrassment here, friend. I've just had a long old day traveling, and thought I'd unwind with a few sips of the old moonshine here, or whatever it is they're serving.
You still on the Jack and Coke or something stronger?
It's something like that, I suppose.
Well, I've got one here waiting for you.
Well, I don't mind if I do. And what drags you down to an den of iniquity like this, young man? You still working for those suits?
Yeah, you could say that. Might be one of them soon.
I suppose I am as well. Oh, yes, indeed, I suppose you're right.
Too much field work. Want to get out before I'm too old, you know?
Well, some of us never get out, son.
No country for old men.
That's right. It sure ain't. It sure as hell ain't. Country's changing all the time. You never know what's gonna happen next.
Well, cheers.
To you and yours.
Likewise. I, usually over El Paso way, or was that way back?
That was some time ago. What goes around comes around, and what goes around is Ed Mooney. And so, sure enough, I comes around, eventually. So here I am, again. Yeah, I got a environmental job over in some backwater place.
With the DOE, is that right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I think I'd heard something about that.
Some Washington suit outfit, yeah. There's a mine up there, so they,
Yeah, it crossed my desk.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah.
An auspicious desk to cross.
Oh, you're too kind. I got to admit, though, that's why I'm here. This isn't just a happenstance.
Well, now you blow my mind. I had not even thought to think that you might be here on a social visit. I can't believe it. So you're saying you've schlepped all the way down here just because you saw my name on a piece of paper? Well, I'm blessed.
Well, listen. DC's boring these days, you know? I ain't into all that political stuff. Any excuse. I'd like to ask you a favor.
When people tell me, I've had a bit of experience now of federal types, and when people tell me they're not into that political stuff, they're normally about to tell me something very political. So come on, what is it? Let's hear it. What dirty deal needs going down? What back needs scratching?
Well, no. Nothing like that. But you heard of a guy named, you ever hear of a guy named Henry Miller? He's not running for candidate or anything like that. It ain't political. Trust me.
Well, there's a lot of people called Henry Miller. There's a character in Calamity Jane called Henry Miller. I've seen that show.
Yeah. What do you make of it?
It's all right if you like that kind of thing, singing and dancing. I've been out west plenty of times, and I ain't never seen anyone sing and dance as much as that. Most people are too busy working and trying to keep their kids fed.
Very true. A fan of realism. The modern man. Well, this fella, Henry Miller, not his real name, obviously, as you've probably worked out, but, well, he's a contractor, just like you. Odd jobs now and again, government mostly. Never DOE before, but, you know, we've crossed paths. But he's gone missing. Him and his family, about a week ago, they were last seen by rangers around Big Bend National Park. I don't know if you know it.
Well, that's where I'm heading.
Yeah, well, quite. I got some photos here. That's Henry. It's his wife, Kelly Miller, and their two kids, Rebecca, she's 8, and James, 10.
Nice kids.
Yeah, nice kids indeed. Well, they were. They were last seen by rangers in the park, like I said. And listen, obviously they might have just been out camping, left some dirty plates too near their tents, and ended up as bear food. But, you know, and there's also a chance that, you know, he decided to get out, and they've, you know, disappeared deliberately. But I think the both of us
When you
know,
say get out of what?
Well, obviously a lot of it's classified, but between the two of us...
Let me guess. It wasn't all entirely above board.
No. No. And I think we're free to talk about that, the two of us, knowing what we know.
I think we know. We know where we stand, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, if it's, he's one of us, right? So, feds ain't gonna touch it, that's what you're saying. So it's up to us to look after our own.
You've got it nail on the head there. It's running in the local papers, of course, but just with them as a, an all-American family. No other details.
I see.
Yeah, I think we both know that when there's trouble that close to the border and it involves one of ours, as you say, there is always another option, one that makes us a bit nervous. There could be other organizations involved.
Don't need to be nervous. You got Mooney on the case.
Well, that's what I hoped you'd say.
Whatever the problem is, I'll make sure it disappears. I'm not just a prospector who finds things. I'm a prospector who can lose things, too.
I mean, I don't need to explain anything to you. You know the dangers of this, but all we're asking is that you keep your eyes peeled and your ear to the ground. We have people in the area, of course, but no one with your level of experience. So since we heard you were headed down that way, we figured, well, maybe kill two birds with one stone. And, of course, you'll be remunerated.
Keep it discreet, I suppose. All right, Fergal.
That's the idea. All I can tell you is he's been involved for long enough that he knows things. And let's just say we can't have him telling anyone else these things that he knows. I know how sinister that sounds. But you get where I'm coming from. I mean, I hate to bring it up, but your old mentor, what was his name? Blackwood? Jacob?
That's him.
Well, you remember the panic around that. And
I do. Son of a bitch. That just goes to show, if people want to go missing and they know what they're doing, they don't come back.
Well, that's that. And that might be the case here. But he's got his kids with him, he's got his wife with him, so we're thinking that isn't the case. And
doesn't sound like it.
We'd just like you to report back.
All right, Fergal. You leave it with me. I'll get to the bottom of this. Time to go digging, I think.
Well, they don't call you the miner for nothing. Here's a little advance for your night's drinks.
Well, I do declare, Mr. Washington.
I'll see you around, Mooney.
Well, not if I see you first.
The Apocalypse Players present Highway of Blood, a Call of Cthulhu scenario by Alex Guillotte, Ian Christiansen, and Davae Breon Jaxson. With Dan Wheeler as Quincy J. Lafitte, Dominic Allen as Edward Ed Mooney, Joseph Chance as Beverley Jack Carstairs, and Danann McAleer as the Keeper of Arcane Law. This is based on a true story. Part 2. A Biscuit a Day.
Ow, what a... what an idiot.
Oh, Matt, are you all right? No.
I don't know what I was thinking. I just
I
heard...
don't know what to say. Let me grab a cloth. Gentlemen, help him.
Oh, it's my mistake. I'm sorry.
Carlos, get the first aid box.
No. I'll be all right. It's old habit.
I'm already sat with a newspaper open, legs crossed, not paying attention. I just look up and go, "You got yourself a pencil? I'd like to do the crossword."
Now's not the time, mister. Your friend's bleeding from his head.
No. I'm quite all right. Please don't make a fuss. Old habits die hard. I'm used to listening for that. Oh.
Did you see something? Was it an insect?
No, I just thought I heard something. You know, sometimes in these old establishments. They're a hotbed for all sorts of wood-dwelling insects, and they call them woodworm. Of course,
I'm real sorry.
Woodworm is never a real worm. It's a beetle.
Absolutely.
The Death Watch beetle is. It's really
Death Watch
sore.
beetle.
Yeah.
I'll take a look at that. I'll take a
The
look.
weird thing is, you're totally sure that what you heard was a type of beetle. You just couldn't put your finger on what it was, and that's what. But it felt like a beetle, definitely, and that's what led you to sort of scamper across the floor and really rip your ear.
My colleague here is an expert in insects. It's a real passion of yours, isn't it, Mr. Lafitte?
Well, of course. I mean, beetles is not my specialty. It's I'm a lepidopterist. It's moths and
You're a leper?
butterflies.
We don't allow those in town.
No. Forgive me. A lepidopterist is a lectern.
Collecting
study-
leopards.
It's a butterfly collector
That's right.
and a
Butterflies and moths.
moth collector. I believe I have a pencil. I think I have a pencil.
I might maybe, while this is all going on, just attempt a little bit of first aid on my own ear, if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
Well, I got an extreme success on my first aid, you'll be pleased to know. Thank goodness.
Nice work. What is your first aid out of interest?
40.
Oh, much better than mine. Mine's
I think mine's pretty good.
mine's
Well,
the poor
base
man's.
The base is 30.
Yeah. Mine is the poor
Mine's
man's
35.
I couldn't afford that.
I put a lot into first aid, then I redistributed them because I wasn't.
Yeah, same here. I put a lot into a lot of things.
Yes.
I am sorry, gentlemen. That's so embarrassing. I don't know what. It's foolish of me to get my ear to the floor in an establishment like this. I don't know what I was thinking, except that
Do you think there's any chance they lay out nails deliberately?
How would they lay it out so you only hit the back tires, not the front tires?
Maybe that was luck.
Quiet. Maybe we were lucky to only hit the back tires. I must say, I was considering it myself when you pointed it out.
What do you make of these license plates? You reckon that's, where'd they get them from? He said, now I think they're thinking about it. He said there was a scrapyard to get the tires opposite the gas station, and then we come in this bar, there's all these license plates. Well, I don't believe there's that many people buying and selling motor
but maybe
vehicles in this little town.
Yeah, break down. Scrap vehicles come to the scrapyard. And not every town can have a scrapyard, much as not every town can have an abattoir.
You saw how long it took us to drive all the way out here. You really think that people come all the way out here just to scrap their vehicle? And then what,
Well, no,
walk back?
I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I'm not an engineer or automobile salesman, but I don't imagine that's how a scrapyard works. I imagine a car breaks down and a pickup truck, drags it to the nearest scrapyard, which would be here, I assume.
What did you make of those?
What's your theory? You got some more?
Maybe.
You think something more sinister's going on?
I do. I think, well, if people are laying out nails to puncture tires, make sure people have little accidents on the road, and then these people come along and they, I don't know, perhaps...
Like a trapdoor spider.
Like a trapdoor spider. And they come along and, oops-a-daisy, you had a little accident. Well, don't worry, we'll take your vehicle. They get the scrap metal from that. They get the old tires. They take the license plate as a trophy of war, and they probably fleece the poor bastard for whatever money he's got to get him out of this place. That's, if I'm being, what's the word? Charitable. Of course, it could be a lot worse, depending on how deranged the people of this town are.
You looked at those photos? You see anything?
There's a lot of stuff I didn't see. I don't think this town's that old. It don't go back too far. This farming equipment, I don't know where they got that from, but I don't believe this town goes back before the Second World War, to be frank. And as it happens, I don't think anyone in this town has managed to successfully breed a child. At least that's what their public record here would suggest.
Potentially, excuse me, we haven't discussed the particulars of our own missions, if you were, to the the site, but it has been proposed that uranium mining may reduce fertility in the area, so perhaps it could be as simple as that.
Absolutely.
But I have
I think
no,
we shouldn't be drinking the water.
I have to say, when I ordered the water, I was not planning on drinking it, but just, making a start at our work. Now, listen, I have a question. I'd like to do a psychology roll on Ed Mooney to find out when he was expressing this theory about what the locals do. He seemed quite excited by the idea. He certainly didn't seem scared.
He's totally taken me by surprise with this whole theory.
Thrill, that.
And his reaction to it is quite dynamic. So I'm game.
My psychology.
If you are, Dom.
My psychology's so bad, but should we both roll psychology and see what he can tell us?
I think I'm more and more intrigued by Mooney as a character in terms of.
Yeah. Well, I failed my psychology roll, so I think I get nothing.
We're none the wiser. I'm on 64.
He's just impenetrably eccentric.
And we don't want to go jump into any conclusions, though, right?
No, I agree. That would be unhelpful. But perhaps we should be on our guard. And then, you see my bug eyes flitting around the room, sort of lighting on objects, pieces of furniture, and as if I'm looking for. If you didn't know better, obviously, you would never expect me to be doing this. But if it was someone else, you might expect that they were seeing if they could lay their hands on a makeshift weapon.
Like the farm equipment on the walls.
Might be quite tricky to use, but yeah, potentially.
A sickle.
I think I do. I lean over towards you, Mooney, and I say, I don't think you quite heard, but Russo did give us a little warning before we came down here that the people of the town don't take to outsiders too much. I figured you probably picked up on that already, but it was interesting to me that he made that direct warning. I wasn't too sure if I trusted it. But then maybe he values the trade and doesn't want to drive people off.
I mean, the only hole in my theory is that he has attempted so far as we know, to repair the ties.
And persuaded us not to come into town.
Of course, we've yet to find out what his bill will be. Could be an eye-watering amount, and we will be forced to pay it.
Well, our all-powerful government will be forced to pay it.
Indeed, which will be the taxpayer, which will be the people of this town. So you see, really, they're only shooting themselves in the foot.
They're robbing Peter to pay Paul.
That's right.
You still got to put the paperwork through, gentlemen. There's a good chance that there'll be an investigation if we try and claim... What? I wasn't joking.
I let the bookworms do the paperwork.
I've got to make good with the EPA.
I'm
you know I do.
Field geologist.
There's nothing. I've got a strict budget on this. I got to do at least. Do they say acres in the States? Is it acres or is it hectares? Hectares.
Acres or hectares?
I got to do hectares of trig on this place. And that's going to cost them something. I can't start putting expenses in that aren't real. I've already given that guy $5 just to keep him sweet, in the hope that means he doesn't take stuff out of our truck. But the heat, the goddamn heat. Listen, I don't know about you, but I don't feel right either.
Well, we're in a bit of a situation. I don't know what we do if your theory is correct, Mooney, and as much as I wish it not to be, the more I think about it, the more it makes sense.
Well, you're the entomologist here. What do you say? The analogy I would lean toward is when you see something get stuck in a trap, an insect, for instance, in a Venus fly. Well, if they wiggle around and thrash and kick, they get stuck more.
The trap closes, that's correct.
But if they act smooth and slow, they can slip their way out. So I just say we just be smooth and slow.
Smooth and slow.
Smooth and slow, and don't rock the boat.
Smooth and slow. I like that.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
And when I say don't rock the boat, I inadvertently put my hand on what is clearly my gun, and then go back to reading the paper.
I was casting my eye around to see if there was something that I could potentially, in theory, not that I want to lay my hands on it right now, but in theory use as a sort of makeshift hand-to-hand weapon, whether it's a small piece of farm equipment on the wall or...
Well, I think it's fair to say that in here, in the public area, all you see is the sort of farm equipment. But there are certainly like scythes and sickles and things like that dotted about. If you cast your mind back, I think you would have seen a rusty shotgun in the gas station as well, just inside the door. But if you're thinking about weapons or anything for any reason, I don't know why you would be. Yeah.
No, why would be?
I was just going to ask. So I have been reading I've been flicking through the newspaper. Is this the kind of thing where I should talk to you privately?
Not necessarily. Well, it depends, because if you're reading, is it a recent paper?
Well, you tell me. I'll think most recent.
They do have recent papers there.
I'm looking for a particular article.
Yeah, you see it, and it's about 3 pages in. And whether or not you choose to mention that to the others is...
No. But I do want to know what the article says.
Well, in that case, yeah, do the others want to take their headphones off just for a second?
Yeah, okay.
Only for a second. Basically it sort of implies everything you know about in terms of their disappearance. They've been camping for a few days in that national park, which you know is about an hour and a half's drive south. But that was the last time they were seen.
That was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago they went missing. Well, they were reported missing, and the last people to see them was about that time by the National Park Rangers. This place is, like, you didn't know Abattoir was here, but you know the Devil's Backbone was nearby. The people you knew sort of said, well, you're going down that way anyway. Mind keeping an eye out or seeing if you can, learn anything around there. Because of his connections, the father, they're sort of jumpy that there might be like not a coup going on, but like people being got rid of. But either way, the article doesn't mention at all his government contracting work. It just says he was like a local council member, and they were like an all-American loving family, So like the stuff you know about him isn't mentioned at all.
Right.
But that's what you'd expect, probably. But it's on about page 3 from the local paper. So it's been in the papers the last 3 weeks. It's gradually diminishing towards the latter end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Interesting. All right. 11 down. Neurotic. 6 letters.
I'm not sure I can think.
Challenging one as well. Neurotic.
Agitated.
6 letters, did you say?
And as you're saying that, Carlos, you assume it's Carlos who Robert Taylor shouted back to, bustles out with your food, unless he already has in my absence, and sort of plops them down. Sort of goes, "Oh, there you are, sir. There's the gravy and biscuit and gravy. Enjoy." And he looks sort of slightly nervous, as if you're maybe the first customers they've had in a while, and he wants to get it right. And Robert goes, "It's all good, Carlos. Thank you. I'm sure it'll be fine. Give us a shout if you need any more cutlery or seasonings or anything."
Thank you.
Yeah, enjoy.
Yeah, do we get our tequilas and coffee as well?
Oh yeah, for sure. Robert brings those over. In fact, he says, my end of the bargain." Yes, of course. And he brings over the coffees, and then he pours out a few glasses of tequila. None of that chemical warfare stuff we have in England, where it's measured by the fumes of the milliliter. He generously pours a few for you and says, "Well, that should complement it entirely. Let me know if you want any condiments or anything of the sort."
This character already stinks like a Danann NPC.
Yeah.
Bon appetit. I'm only now.
We're going to end up We're going to end up killing this guy and getting guilt tripped for it, only to discover that he was a fucking shoggoth or something.
I'd like to give the food a
Same that.
really good sniff and look
Yeah, great.
to check that it's not
As
been
I enthusiastically pick up my knife and fork,
messed
I
with.
see him doing that, and I stop. And I wait for the verdict.
Wait for the.
What sort of check would that be?
Well, what is it that you're trying to? I guess natural world. If you're trying to discover what food is clean or like, I mean, what?
Yeah, or
Can I join in on that? I'm just looking at my burger.
or biology?
I want to do a natural world.
Or biology?
Yeah, for sure.
Just to see whether I can smell anything that might have been added to it. Any sort of poisonous compounds.
I'm more interested in the sort of like looking at the beef patty, making sure it's definitely a cow, that sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let me know how you both do.
So I got hard success on my biology.
Oh, I actually failed my natural world, unbelievably. There we go.
It's probably more chemistry that would tell me if there was anything better.
So, on your failed natural world roll, it just seems like a normal. What was it? You had a burger, or? Yeah, seems normal. You know, bit of pink in the middle, but nothing more than you'd imagine. Well, Quincy, what was yours? A hard success or a regular?
Hard success on biology, so I don't know how much of biology would tell me about the
Yeah. So, what was the food you were picking through? It was a burger, right?
biscuits and gravy.
Biscuits and gravy. Yeah. Well, I mean, the biscuits themselves seem fine, and the gravy has a certain richness. Have you ever spent any time in Europe, or
I'm not.
maybe in more southern states like South Carolina, or like below the border, or anything like that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I've spent most of my time in the South. I was born in Florida.
Yeah. So you know Creole food and all.
Oh
that
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. I mean, and
Yeah.
that's my heritage. Really, he's got French.
The gravy definitely has a tang to it of like something slightly richer, like a sort of. You see, it could be like wild boar, but it's got like a richer, slightly meatier element to it than like the usual farmed pigs that you get.
Long pig. So it's basically what you're saying.
I realise how sinister that sounds, but honestly, it could just be that there's a lot of hunters around here.
Oh God.
What are you two thinking?
You certainly don't get the instinct that it's.
I start sweating even more, and I start to look nervous. So I do some really bad acting with some sauce, and I ostentatiously reach over for the sauce and do some shaking with it as I'm looking at these two, thinking, what the hell are they doing? And I start squeezing sauce out on the side of my plate, but I just keep squeezing because I don't have any acting skill at all. And
because you're not focusing, you don't notice the human fingernails come out of the spout or anything.
Can I just, for context, can I just read you what Wikipedia says that biscuits and gravy is?
Yeah.
Just to make sure we're all on the same page. Biscuits and gravy is a popular
They're
breakfast
like scones.
in the United.
Right.
They're basically
Yeah.
scones, yeah. Or as far as I remember, it's a popular breakfast dish in the United States, especially the South. The dish consists of soft dough biscuits covered in white gravy, made from the drippings of cooked pork sausage, flour, milk, and often bits of sausage, bacon, ground beef, or other meat.
Totally.
Other meat. Other meat is.
Well, Wikipedia's stressed you out there. I don't think I have. But either way, I think, other meat is a possibility. You don't know. I mean, they could have been supplementing it for. You certainly get the sense it's richer than just a pork or a beef gravy to accomplish the biscuits. You know, it's.
Did he pour the tequila from a recognizable bottle of tequila that is a brand, or did he pour it?
He did. He poured it off the wall by the full length bar mirror. But I guess you'd have to get a closer look if you think it might be bootleg.
I think I pick it up slightly cautiously, and I look at the colour of it, and I say, "Gentlemen, what say we make a toast?"
I lift up my glass and await the toast.
Here's to getting out of abattoir. And
Amen to that.
And I reach forward, but I'm looking at their eyes, kind of going, "What the hell are you two doing?" but also thinking, oh my god, you think there's something in the food, and I've only just realised that.
And as you do that and sort of lean down and sort of start to touch your food, slightly concerned.
Well, I was going to drink some
others
tequila.
might
I was
be
going to
looking
try the tequila, but I was gonna knock it all back.
Sure.
I was just going to go.
I knock it back.
Yeah.
Robert again comes out and sort of says, how's the food? All right?
You're about to tuck in.
Oh, good. Sorry to bother you.
Hey, I got a big old question about... your food here is fantastic. What's the economy?
I love big old questions.
What's the economy of this town? Because, you go to a place and you see where the money is. You go, oh, they got a coal mine, or, oh, they got a Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Yeah.
What's your... what's your money here?
Well, you might have already guessed it. Well, after the mining was what brought in the last of the itinerant workers and the last of those that settled as well, and that was our last major business. I have to admit the town's declined since then. It got its name, of course, from the boon beforehand when it was the abattoir town of the local area. We still do a bit of, we'll still slaughter some beeves. We've still got that capability, but it's... some beeves. It ain't the thing at the moment.
When are we talking here with the abattoir stuff?
The abattoir.
1900?
Before I was born, at least, or when I was born, there was still remnants of it, certainly. The town's been here for quite a while. I couldn't tell you what it was.
10 minutes?
Money from before the abattoir, but when the abattoir arrived, it was mainly meat packers, it was mainly slaughterers. Now that business... that went down around...
I call that nominative determinism, that this town was formed named Abattoir, and then later it became wealthy.
Oh, it wasn't called Abattoir then.
Oh.
What was it called then?
I couldn't tell you what it was called then. I wasn't alive. We're not
writing anything down?
Listen, Mooney, I don't think we should bother this poor gentleman any longer.
Oh, no, I don't mind.
I'm just curious. I just got some questions. I just got to get these questions out of my head.
I start eating food.
What I know from my life experience here is whatever the town was beforehand, at some point it became an abattoir town. That's where the name came from. Then they found this stuff, this uranium they drilled for this mine around the 50s, 56 or something. They shut that down, but the town retained its name of abattoir. No one comes through here. No one minds us being here. There only ever been a few hundred.
I'm just trying to get it straight from my little diary. I like to write down everywhere I've been and everything I learned about it. So, you're saying it was something before it was abattoir? I don't need to know what it was called or what it did, but how far back are we talking? People living here and building little houses and doing whatever it was they did.
He sort of...
before this abattoir turns up.
He looks out the window and sort of adjusts the blinds and then sort of turns back to you and says, I'll be honest with you, sir. I don't know how long people have been living here. I don't know how long people have been living here. But either way, I told you the history as far as I know it. There have been a meat processing town, there been a mine in town. Now we're a town that waits for folks like you to come through for gas and rudely insult us, and that's fine by us. We stay here and wait for that.
It begins.
I'm sorry.
That's all I know.
I'm sorry about our friend here. He's just a curious. We're all scientists. We're curious. Maybe we don't know. We don't have the best manner.
Oh, yeah.
We don't maybe have the best manner with people.
Don't you talk for me. I ordered a fucking burger and fries from this shithole place.
You got yourself...
and I'll be treated with fucking respect.
Excuse me, Mr.
You
Mooney,
piece of
you got
shit.
Your burger and fries.
Is what I said.
I would like to apologize for my friend here. As I say...
Don't you apologize for me. Don't you apologize for me.
And I stand up and I flip the table over.
Jesus Christ.
And then I walk outside.
Jesus, come on. Ed.
I once again would like to apologize for our friend here.
I come back in with my gun drawn.
Whoa, Ed.
And I pointed at Quincy J. Lafitte and I say, I said don't apologize for me. I said don't apologize for me.
Listen here, Mr. Mooney. I understand that you feel very impassioned about your questions about the history of the town. I'm just saying you may have given the wrong impression here to this...
Well, that's my apology to make, and I'm choosing not to make it because I've spent money in this establishment and I've been treated with disrespect. It's not the way we do things where I'm from.
I'm not sure you have been disrespected, Mr. Mooney. I think you may have misinterpreted what I was saying, what this gentleman here was saying.
Let's find out. You there, proprietor. Would you disrespecting me?
I would like to try and use my charm, please.
I'll use my intimidate.
Crack on.
Oh, God.
I'm just sort of stuck between the two of them. Open-eyed.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Wide-eyed, open-mouthed.
I've rolled a 6 on my 50. That's an extreme success.
Oh, God. I've rolled a 90 on my 55. That is a fail.
Right, okay. So, yeah. So you're pointing your gun at Robert Taylor, the guy behind the bar.
No, I'm pointing at Quincy Lafitte.
Oh, I see. So, Quincy, you suddenly... I mean, you've known this guy was a contractor the whole time. You don't maybe, like, trust him in the same way you might automatically have a trust for someone like Jack, who you know has done more jobs like this on the legitimate payroll. But even so, this is unexpected. And I think him drawing his gun on you is genuinely like a moment of shock and terror. And yeah, I mean, I'll let you handle that however you want to handle that. Like,
Well, I've already failed my charm roll.
yeah, exactly.
Hey, now, gentlemen, come on. We don't need to add any trouble.
Robert backs away as well, and he says, "Yeah, you're right. We don't need any trouble." And he like backs away behind the counter.
In that case, let me stop apologizing for you and start apologizing for myself. I didn't realize that I'd upset you so much there.
Oh, psh. I put the gun away. There's no need for apologies at all. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. And I'd finish the tequila. I'd sit back down and open the paper.
I just turn to Jack and give him a very meaningful look.
Yeah, I think I'm wide-eyed, and I've managed to sort of say this thing about like we don't need to cause any more trouble. But I just sort of nervously go over and I say to, I've still got eye contact with you, Lafitte, but I say to Taylor, I can help clear that up. That was from the mouthfuls I had of it. Carlos had done a good job. Don't worry, we'll make this right. We'll pay you fair and square. You mind if
you can't see Taylor?
Oh, he's gone.
As you're saying that, he backed off behind the bar.
Okay, right. Sorry.
Yeah. As you finish saying that, you see the glint of his shotgun barrel as he returns, pointed not at you but at Ed.
Shit.
And he says, "Say that to me once more about you being gracious customers and all that."
I'm reading the paper, by the way, so I haven't paid any attention to the fact he's holding a gun. I've got the paper up, but I'm just reading it.
So it's on Jack or Quincy to
Mr. Taylor, I think
negotiate.
Maybe we should just get out of here and leave you to it, and maybe we can pay for our meals, pay a little extra, and just get out of your hair.
What? I've got $12 here.
I've got, and I go through my. Let's see, how much have I got? I've got a pretty high credit rating.
I do not have that high a credit rating. This is why I'm concerned about making gas claims.
I've got $40 on me, so I say I got $12 as well.
On me? Oh no, I haven't got that much. Sorry. I was looking at the wrong thing. I was looking at cash. Spending level? No. Okay, so yeah, I've got 25 to spare, but I don't want to spend it all. So I'm saying I've got $12 on me.
Yeah, I got 40, so I'm going to say I got 12 as well.
I got 12 as well, so why don't we
I'll
just...
tell you what. As you're sort of counting out, both of you, the money from your pockets. Give me a psychology roll on how he seems to be reacting to just the premise of you paying him off.
God. Psychology's so bad. No.
It's a big fat no. It's 80 on 20 for me.
For me as well.
You think it might be an acceptable proposition. He just seems stony-faced.
Great.
I fold the newspaper down and I say, how much do you want for the newspaper?
We'll pay for the newspaper as well. Don't worry, Mooney.
I got the newspaper. And I start reaching in my pocket. What, $1 to do it?
Listen, folks. I don't much like it around here. But I don't much like it when folks make it worse around here. Now, you threatening me,
I can sympathize
coming
with
into your
that. I
bar
am
with a
from
gun.
Florida.
Shut up. And he points the shotgun at you.
Goodness me.
I raise a hand, but I don't say anything.
I was not expecting to have 2 different shotguns pointed at me when I woke up this morning.
Now listen, and as he says that, you hear the saloon doors being pushed open again. And a very sort of, an unbecoming man in a sort of pale suit walks in. He's holding a newspaper himself. And he sort of says, hello, Robert. Oh, hello. Hi, Doc. He says, hello, gentlemen. And he just walks straight through the middle of this dispute very calmly and just sits at the other end of the bar and puts up his newspaper and says, from behind the newspaper, he says, any trouble paying, it's on me. Don't you worry.
Oh, we got no
We
trouble.
don't want outsiders to think we ain't no friendly folks.
There's no trouble paying, but we're awful stuck on this here crossword.
Well, give me the clue.
It's 11 down, 7 letters. Homicidal.
Murderer.
Sounds about right.
That's 8 letters.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't quite fit. Well, sometimes things don't quite fit, I suppose.
Not around these parts. And he settles himself down and just continues reading the newspaper. And Robert, the guy you've been in a standoff with, sort of glances over at him and says, anyway, yeah, I've said my piece. So, you eat your food and, you enjoy it. And I'm sorry, I ain't sorry.
I give him a really, really hard look.
He flipped the table, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right, so the food's all over the floor.
Yeah.
And you had your tequila in your hand, but I certainly didn't have anything in my hand. I've still got the knife and fork, I think, but that's it.
Yeah. You're left there, sort of sat in front of no table with a knife.
Well, I
and fork.
stood up.
Yeah.
So disruptive.
Yeah.
And the guy who's walked to the end of the bar says, Robert can get that, can't you, Robert? And he says, oh, yeah, no, I can get that. And he turns back to the three of you and says, well, I hope we can be friends, but at least you know where I stand anyway. I hope you enjoy your stay in Abattoir. Carlos! And he shouts from the kitchen guy, and they both come out and start sort of cleaning up around you and like picking up the plates and
Before he
puts
does,
away the shotgun.
I take his hand to shake it and put my arm around his shoulder. I go, we had a lovely time getting to know you. I'm sure we'll be back sometime. I don't know how long we'll be here, of course, but I will certainly recommend it to people I know traveling to the vicinity.
He looks at you and says, he looks like he's about to say one thing, and then he says something else. He says, well, that's mighty kind of you. We could always do with the clientele. Carlos!
I'm sure.
And then they go around busying themselves around you.
Doctor, do you frequent the bar often?
Are you chatting to the guy behind the newspaper, yeah?
Yeah, well, not really chatting, more kind of like awkwardly engaging from a distance.
Yeah. He says, "You talking to me?"
Do you know what? I might take a cigarette, sir, and then come back in, and maybe that'll give us all a chance to clear the air.
Mighty kind of you. I'll join you.
All right, that sounds
And
like
he folds down his newspaper and gets up. And you see that his like sort of unassuming look. He's a sort of a pale suit, but it looks a lot cleaner than most of the suits in the town. And he's sort of he slowly walks over to you and nods at all three of you, and then looks at you, Jack, sort of expectantly.
Yeah, I take a slightly crumpled pack of cigarettes out, and I deliberately scooch a couple of cigarettes to one side that look like they're roll-ups, and then
Sure.
and then I take a couple of just
He says,
cigarettes.
"I'll have one of those." "No, I'm joking. I have my own." And he pulls out his pipe and a tin that says "My Morning Tobacco," and he starts tapping in a wedge of that. And he says,
Does it look like tobacco?
"It looks, it looks enough like
It looks
tobacco."
like a blend.
Tobacco and human hair.
I say,
Pubes.
I figure I'll leave these gentlemen just to do their work, and we sure hope to be getting on our way to do our work. But there's a perfectly good porch there, and I'm going to stand and take a cigarette like a free American.
Well, like I said, I'll join you. Enjoy the food. What's left of it on the table. And he walks outside.
So I did take a couple of probably quite random large mouthfuls of food. I was so stressed by the conversation. In case you missed that, I mean, I totally committed to sort of nervous eating.
Yes.
In a vague bid to look like I was normal when it was way too late. But
it tasted lovely.
But I go and stand outside, and I get my lighter out, and I light my cigarette, and I'll offer to light his as well. And I do have one last moment as the door's closing, if you'll permit me, keeper of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I try and make eye contact with. I mean, I'm hoping it might be Lafitte, but maybe it'll be Mooney. I don't care which one it is. Because I'm sort of wide-eyed again, kind of going, "Why am I out here alone? Are you going to stay in there?" And then the door closes.
Yeah.
What's Robert? What's his face doing now? He's just cleaning up.
Robert Sweden.
Yeah, he's just cleaning up with Carlos, the guy in the kitchen. Quincy and Ed, you've both got a chance to sort of have a look around, like do anything you'd like to. Yeah.
Oh, go on.
I was going to say, Ed, I've got a suggestion for you if you're out of ideas, but I don't think you are. I get the impression you're not.
Oh well, I'll come to that. But if I'm sat next to Quincy momentarily, alone, more or less.
I don't think I'm sat back down. I think I'm still on my feet.
Oh right, fine. Well, I stand up and I sort of walk up very close to you and I say, "Listen, I hope I didn't give you too much of a fright back there. I felt it necessary to test this man. Something about him didn't smack right. Anyway, I felt probably not wise to point the gun directly at him, but as it happened, turned out may as well have done. Took it very personal, didn't he? I hope you didn't. Anyway, well, I suppose we've expanded our good graces here. Yeah, I can only apologize if I've ruined your lunch."
I look at the floor. I look at the floor, my lunch on the floor, and I say, "You can only apologize if you've ruined my lunch."
I meant in terms of the mood.
Oh, the mood doesn't bother me so much as my stomach.
Oh, well, I'm sorry then.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Strange mammalian behavior. You would not get this in the insect kingdom, this posturing. It's birds do it, mammals do it, even reptiles sometimes. But insects don't feel the need to express themselves emotionally to make these shows of force.
And then I wink at you and I say, "That's why I had to do it. The only way to push his buttons, you know."
Quite.
crank his wheel. And it worked.
Well, I'm not sure whether...
By gum, it worked.
Not sure whether you got us out of that... the trapdoor spider's trap quite yet, but,
In the meantime, while this conversation's been happening, Jack, Beverley, Jack, John, Carstairs, you've been chatting out on the porch, right? So, how do you open?
Beverley Carstairs. Call me Jack.
Oh, Jack, lovely, lovely.
And it was Dr.
It was, yes, Dr. Brenner, Dr. Brenner. But you call me Doc Robert, whatever you like. Doc Brenner, Doc Bob. I'm called all sorts around here.
Is that a German name?
Who, what, Bob?
Austrian? Brenner.
I don't know. I never looked into my family history. Could be, could be. Perhaps I should.
My mother was half German.
Oh, right. What was her name?
Well, Austrian. He pauses and looks dead ahead with the cigarette just off his mouth
Yeah.
and says, I don't know, my grandmother's name was Anastasia. Always sounded dramatic to me.
Yes, I see.
And I take a deep breath, a deep inhalation from the nicotine.
Yeah. Well, pleasure to meet you anyways. Pleasure to meet you. And your friends. I wouldn't worry about that, what's inside. They often get themselves into all sorts of scrapes and sticky situations. I can tell you're a man of upstanding morals. What brings you to Abattoir?
Oh, the Environmental Protection Agency.
Was that right?
Look into that old uranium mine.
The old uranium mine. Now, no one's looked into that for many's a year. You know where to find it, just through the town, of course. So that's so interesting. I'm glad someone's taking a notice of it, because between you and me, I think all sorts of effects might have been found. All sorts of them might have been found. And the local...
Levels of the land.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was saying the local environments and landscapes. It's not the sort of thing the government can just put in place and then take away. That's not fair. So I'm glad they're finally looking into it. You're welcome here. You're welcome.
That's very kind of you. I'm sorry about my colleagues. No, I'm not sorry about my colleagues. My colleagues are my colleagues, and they do what they do, but they're good men.
Exactly. I'm sure they are.
I think.
You think? Well, what do we all know about humanity ourselves? Even our best friends or family members, we don't know their deepest secrets, do we? I trust you know them as well as you can.
Well, yes, I haven't actually worked with them much, but yes, I know them as well as I can for the days that we spent together. Tell me, Dr. Brenner, do you do you think the water around here is of a good quality?
Oh, yes.
You're a general practitioner, is that correct?
That's right. I'm a doctor. It's fine enough for us where we are. You can have worse out in the desert. Obviously, sometimes you have to resort to still water and things, but that's a rarity. The pipelines seem to do what they're meant to do, so we're happy. I don't know much about what big government's putting in them up in Marathon or whether they're fluoridizing them up in Austin or anything like that. We see the chemtrails, but we don't mention them. We don't want to kick up a fuss.
I see. Well, it's real tricky with land levels like this.
Yeah.
With, anomalies like your backbone there.
Well, that's it. Oh, my backbone? That's just, that's a congenital disease. I wouldn't worry about that. But I know what you mean, the devil's backbone. Now, that backbone, that shifts all together of its own. Less about the movements you might make in some fancy yoga class when coming back from California. It's more to do with the shifting sands. The shifting sands and the shifting rocks. You been out in the desert much, son?
I've spent some time out surveying. That's true. I'm a land surveyor.
Yeah. A surveyor. So you observe, you survey the land. You'll know how much it shifts, how much it can shift after one evening. Just a dust devil or an evening shift of sand can transform a place. And if you don't know where you are, that's you done. Strange thing, isn't it?
Very strange.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a real pleasure to talk to you.
And yourself.
Real sorry about I'm not sorry.
Yeah. Don't be sorry. It ain't my establishment.
I know what happened. And say, do you think I could really go for a cup of coffee, a cup of Joe?
Yeah.
Do you think there's another place I can get one?
This is probably the best place for a cup of Joe, I'll be honest. But there'll be other places that have their own coffee supply. I mean, I've got my own, but that's way up the other end of the town. If you're just waiting for your car to get fixed, and he looks over to the right, and you see him sort of scanning the yard, and he says, "Well, there's old Russo still scooting about in the stacks. Looks like he's still looking for that wheel of yours. Well, you might be here.
I didn't say anything about this, right? I've not said anything about the wheel being fixed, and you two didn't say anything about the wheel being fixed.
No.
So I look at him dead straight, and I say,
"Yeah,
sure. I guess there'll be a chance to get some Joe later."
Yeah.
Well, Doctor, it's been an honor to talk to you.
Hasn't it just?
Fine veranda. I'm gonna talk to my colleagues now.
Please do, and don't be strangers. You know, if you end up here for the night, you're always welcome up at the homestead. I'd happily have you as guests for dinner.
Oh, no.
You'll have us as guests for dinner. Right.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Well, I'll have you for
Doctor.
dinner either way. I'm joking. Anyway, yeah, good man. And he becomes very brusque, and he just taps out his pipe on the arm of the sort of hanging rocking chair, and he says, well, try not to disturb too many of the other residents. I'll see you shortly. And he strolls off into town with his cane. And I imagine, what have the other two been doing during that period? Is there anything you'd like to have been doing during that conversation? Or?
No, I think that was probably overlap with our little conversation.
Yeah, it probably did.
So.
Yeah. So you come out as he's just walking off down the road, and Jack's sort of staring off after him with a sort of look of slight ominous confusion in his eyes.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. And it's still blazing sunlight, but you're under the corrugated roof. And there's still the billies down on the road, but you have a moment just between yourselves after the door closes in case you want to share any ideas or anything.
I think the doctor just invited us to dinner.
There is no way in hell I'm staying here overnight.
Well, let's hope we don't have to, right?
It seemed like he knew about the wheel. I know small towns talk, but it's like he knew we didn't have a fixed wheel.
I am convinced that the industry of this town is screwing over those people unfortunate enough to come anywhere near to it. I wish I had a dog.
They used to call it... Didn't they used to call it something back in the Old West?
What?
When you jump a fellow for their goods? And I weirdly look down at the ground as if I'm trying to remember something, and my head starts to move around a bit like it's moving through grids.
This place is the Old West. This place hasn't changed for 200 years, and yet they all think they moved here last week. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Well, we need a tire. You want me to go back and check? I'll try and help him.
You do see a couple of, at that point, you see a couple of the people who've been sat around just smoking and spitting and drinking sort of move on up the town, the way away from the way you've came. And you look up and you see like a sort of a line of buildings on either side. You see what looks like a post office, a bank. You know, it's not an unpopulated town, even though it wasn't on your map. And there's a sort of a drugstore, there's a bookshop. If there's like a grocery and liquor store, like
There's a bookshop.
yeah. I mean, if any,
That's surprising.
I guess for a small town, a relatively small town, it is. But they've got every other shop you might imagine.
Can I just pick up on when you said it wasn't on our map?
Yeah.
Is it the sort of map that should have a town this size? Is it really fucking weird that the town wasn't on the map?
I think it's a relatively old map.
Fine.
And it had in place like where the uranium mine was, which is just up on the Devil's Ridge, as it says. But it was just marked as the Devil's Ridge, and there was a sort of conflagration of like things that might be settlements. But it looked like it might just be a gas station and a motel or whatever. There is a motel leading off the building you're in at the moment, and in fact, while you were in there, there was a sign saying, rooms for $8 a night or whatever. So but if there's anything that catches your eye on the main street, from what I've just said, like feel free to go and take a look.
I could go and check in with Russo and see how he's doing, maybe lend a hand.
Yeah.
I'm not totally useless with a spanner. Sorry, a wrench. I'm not totally useless with a wrench.
Well, either might do.
It's a potentially dangerously isolating move, but I'm willing to go and at least find out.
Yeah, I'm curious about this bookshop as a player.
I passed through a little town called Castro Negro once, and they had an amazing bookshop. Real old.
I heard about it.
I didn't go in.
If you're worried about, or if you're, interested in the history of the town, there might be something there, or, I don't know, but...
Had a funny name. It was called Tom's, although I think maybe the last letter had fallen off.
But the B was silent. Maybe...
I mean, you don't have to. You can stay where you are. You can, I'm just giving you the option as,
I think I take a couple of steps down the steps and I say, where should I meet you, gents?
I guess we'll meet you back at the garage. He said it would take maybe 15 minutes, maybe a couple of hours, tops. So
as you say that, you see Russo lugging a tire that might be the right one, sort of back towards the garage. So,
well, I probably don't see that. That's probably too far off for me.
Distance vision, yeah.
But so maybe we should meet you back up there. But I'd quite like to take my mind off that encounter back there, and maybe Mr. Mooney, you and I could do with spending some time together and getting to know each other a bit better after.
Oh, sure. I feel awful terrible about that misunderstanding. I really wasn't expecting him to point the gun at you.
Oh, I see. Maybe you and I could take a look in that bookstore there.
Why not?
Say, just before I go, you don't...
Maybe they'll have a crossword book.
I look at him baffled as and I say, crosswords now.
Bumper bonus puzzle book.
All right. You don't think there could have been something wrong with the water?
Oh, there's 100% something wrong with the water. They got no kids in this town. Have you seen any kids?
But what I mean is,
They shriveled up their nuts drinking the water around here. We mustn't drink any of the water.
What I mean to say is they... Sure, we won't drink the water, I understand, but, they know. What if they know?
Know what? That they're impotent?
That there's something wrong with it. And it makes them feel like they're special or something. I don't know.
What a fantastical imagination you have. And I love it. I'm here for it. I think that's fantastic. And I think we should factor that into our assessment of the situation.
Everything about this place seems so established. It reminds me of... Well,
Jesus wept.
The little towns.
What if they're not screwing people over for their money? What if they're popping tires and stealing license plates and smashing up cars and then using us sexually? As over and over again, hoping that we can seed them a new generation, fresh.
And to be a fine thing.
Ed Mooney, as you say that, you get the urge to just push back in through the saloon doors and look once again at those car license plates. You immediately notice the top one, which seems to have been nailed in the most recently, is exactly the license plate that you thought it might be.
Our van.
That's our truck.
I grab them both by the arms, either side of me, and go, pull them in really close so their faces are touching my face. And I go,
God damn it. They've nailed our license plate to the goddamn wall.
To be clear, not to the other two, but to you, is not your license plate.
I thought so.
Although that's an amazing moment.
So are we looking at it and we know it isn't our license plate?
No, I think he's just dashed back in on that moment of the license plates. He dashes back in, and you suddenly realise the license plate is the one that you were on the lookout for in the first place. And I assume you come back out full smiles and roses, but that's on you, really.
Wait, so he does tell it. So he says that they've nailed our license plates to the wall. He doesn't.
The miller's license plate is nailed.
Well, in that case, I do say what I said. I do come out and grab them and go, they've nailed our license plate to the wall. I'm just not talking about our license plate.
Right.
What do you mean? What do you mean? I think I try pulling him back out, and I just go, come on. We don't want any more trouble here, please.
Whereas I go and stick my head through the door to see if I can confirm what he's told us, which is that they've nailed our license plate to the wall.
Jesus wept, they've nailed our license plate to the wall. See for yourself.
Already, I don't know how they could have got here so soon, so I dash inside and look.
What?
And I turn to Jack and I go,
What's he talking about so soon? It's been 3 weeks.
As he opens the door, I'm gonna hang back because I'm trusting that he's gonna go close because he has to go up close to see things, right?
Yeah.
And I'll just sort of hold the door, and I'll say, "What? Did you leave something?" Like with really bad acting.
Yeah, I thought I left my my butterfly net, and I did leave my butterfly net. I think. Here it is.
Carlos is using it to catch the flies around the
I left
grill.
it leaning up against the bar. So when I get to the bar, I take my butterfly net and I peer up through my glasses.
Well, I just look from where I am. And do we see our license plate?
No.
I think I look back at Mooney and permission to make another psychology roll, but maybe with a bonus die.
Yeah, I'd say so.
No, just a straight psychology roll because that's a 90. 90 on a 20. I look at him and I go, okay, right. Well, glad you got it. Let's head on down into town, like you said.
Are you there, Quincy?
Yeah, and I come back out and I say, yeah, I couldn't see it. I have to be honest.
You couldn't see it?
That's not our license plate.
Oh, yeah. Not our, not the truck.
Whose license?
It doesn't matter.
Right.
Where's that newspaper? Good. And I tuck it under my arm. Good, and pat it. Bookshop!
I now look at Lafitte doing the same look that he did to me 20 minutes ago. We're going like, this guy's crazy.
Off his fucking nut.
And then I just I fall in behind him and I say, just to Lafitte this time, what do you think? Should I try and hurry Russo along? I feel like it's best we get on the road.
I'm beginning to think maybe we should get on the road and leave him here, or put him on the road and we should stay here. I've gone from being worried about
the water, to be worried about this here town of Abattoir, to be worried about Ed Mooney.
Well, we don't know what he's been through. Maybe he was in the war.
I call back over my shoulder. Sorry, that was confusing. My memory ain't so good. I keep
He was in... Maybe he was in Korea.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Or Vietnam. That only ended a couple of months ago.
Yeah, but he is in his 50s.
But, oh yeah, he is, yeah.
Like
Could have been
the guy's 70 or something.
Yeah, fuck that. As you make your way down the street towards the bookshop, it's still blazing hot, so I imagine you've pulled your shirts up or you've splashed water on yourselves. You're very aware of how hot this... It's still almost midday sun. I mean, this is only like 1:30 in the afternoon, you know. And you come up to this bookshop, and it's called Thunderbird Gifts, and there's lots of Native American things hanging in the window, sort of poultices and like dream catchers and books and stuff, and
puppets.
Muppets, yeah. And there's a couple of things prominently on display, but it's hard to sense through the gleam off the window. You think you see a sort of movement, a shadowy movement inside, which is the first person movement, if not person, you've seen within an establishment for a while. Everyone's in now from the heat, I think. And, you could all give me a spot hidden roll if you'd like, and let me know what you glean.
Fuck.
On my massive
off.
35.
I've rolled another 100.
Oh, wow.
Oh, fucking hell.
Jesus.
Well, Dan, I wouldn't want you to feel alone. I rolled 100 too.
Oh, wow.
Well, in that case, I better push this roll then.
Yeah, please.
So
I don't know. Should you?
I was excited thinking it was a pass. I thought it was an 8 and a 0, and I was like, oh, that's perfect.
I'm going to push this roll. I suddenly stop dead in my tracks, pull the gun out again, and then slowly do a circle around the town, just like Clint Eastwood in Gran Torino.
Yeah. Love it.
Pretending to shoot every building, and then I put the gun back in my pocket. That's how I'm pushing the spot hidden.
So the other two of you fumbled, to be clear, and this is yeah. Okay.
Oh, thank God. That's a hard success.
Oh, well played.
Excellent. So for Quincy, Jay, Lafitte, and Beverley, Jack, John, Carstairs, you searching through the window, you see a reflection back at you, and you can just see the corner of like the saloon you were just in. You see the bartender come out and sort of point in your general direction. And you see a couple of like figures, and you can't tell who they are, sort of shuffle away very quickly over the balcony. And if you turn back, there's no one there anymore. And while you're distracted by that quite disturbing sight and sort of checking around you to see if anything else, it had, for an etymologist, they had the sort of feel of a creepy crawly, shall we say, like a cricket hopping off the window ledge or something. For Jack, I'm not sure what you do to cope with it, but you must just think it's one of the there's still like mirage haze all over the place. Whereas for Ed Mooney, you do manage to see through the gleam on the shop window, and you see that there's one book in Thunderbird Gifts which draws your eye, even though it's not prominent. It is in the shop front, but it's hidden by a few sort of statuettes and stuff. But you see this sort of snakeskin book. And what catches your eye is a glint of the window and a glint off the light, but then a glint off the lettering, which seems almost silver. And it says, De Vermis Mysterious. I'm suddenly drawn towards it, and then that shadowy figure behind the glass sort of rears up and stands very tall, and a figure moves towards the door.